so. Let's look at some pretty pictures around the association. Lakers, man, it's been pretty watching them play basketball all season. For Portland, a lot of different injuries they've dealt with, and Melo has fit in, Coach, pretty well.
Yeah, look, this group had played well together in the last 6 games. Since they have everybody together, they were the number 8 offense in the league.
And it seems like sometimes you're snake bit. Terrible to see this happen to Rodney Hood. Goes down. You could tell it looked like perhaps it could be an Achilles, and per the Twitter of the Trailblazers, the team, the MRI confirms Smitty suffers a torn left Achilles tendon, and it's just tough to watch.
It's just tough. You feel for him, and just give your prayers for a speedy recovery for Rodney Hood.
The Portland team tries to recover. This isn't going to help them on the floor. Turnovers. Anthony Davis turns it into a 3-1. Assuming the bench allows him back in, they would. We go to the second half. Lead was 15 at the break. And then LeBron, coach, says, hi, I'm here too.
Wow, those two guys, they combined for 70 tonight. Overwhelming talent with those two guys.
Smitty, everybody talked about the big three, who was going to be the third. If these two go the way they should and the right supporting cast, what do you need a big three for?
No, you won't need a big three because you have some other guys that can get it in different times, because right now is their big three, that third guy is their defense. So that's what's getting it done for them.
That's a great point.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
That's a great point. And shooters too, right? I mean, Ruffin did a really good job.
And it'll be a different guy each night, like Smitty said. KCP, Avery Bradley.
I've seen you like this, Stan, by the way. Irate as a coach. Terry Stott's not happy about the call. Gets 2 technicals. He's ejected. AD goes down awkwardly. He is fine. And LeBron says, so are we. To the tune of 20-3. Is that good? That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Not bad.
That's pretty good.
They've won 13 of their last 14.
Combined 70, and again, efficiency-wise, and I hate to do this, but you look at the West at Houston a couple of days ago, 68 shots, I think, right? Russ and Harden, you look here, even not the perfect shooting night, but in both cases, really good nights, efficient. AD, after the win, chats with Doris Burke.
Anthony, 11 straight road wins, but in particular, this 3-game road trip, what's the most satisfying aspect of these 3 you put together?
The way we came out to play. We got a thing called the Avery Challenge defensively. With them out of lineup, we kind of suck defensively, and the last couple games we've been able to be first in defensive rating the past couple games. So we take pride in our defense, and when we able to play defense and defend the way we've been defending the past couple games, especially on this road trip, we're able to go in anybody's building and win. So 3 great teams, Denver, Utah, and Portland, all great home teams, and coming in and beating all 3 teams is something that we want to do, but it started with our defense.
You mentioned, and I love that, I don't think I've heard anybody say that to me in terms of the third of the big 3 being their defense. And that's why they've won on the road. It's what you have to take with you. And even when they've had bad starts, they've finished well. How impressed have you been with, we talk continuity, how early in the season they seem to be gelling on that side of it defensively?
Well, you're happy because you just looked at how they were going to have their schemes. And that's as former players and coaches you want to see. But it starts when you can have a guy as versatile as Anthony Davis that Coach Stan can say, oh, switch to pick and roll, he can do that. Oh, hedge to pick and roll, he can do that. Oh, he can get beat. And our defense was absolutely horrendous on that play, and he blocks the shot. So it makes everybody look good when you have a guy like that. And then you have all the other guys that can fill in who can really slide their feet, and they're tough.
Yeah, I don't know that they, I was really looking at it. I don't know that they put a weak defender on the floor ever. Kuzma, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe, but they're big guys. Howard and McGee are shot blockers. LeBron's defending. KCP,
Danny Green,
Avery
right?
Bradley, Danny Green, Caruso, Rajon Rondo maybe have lost a half step laterally, but smart as heck, knows what's going on. This team's defense is for real. It's not going anywhere.
Hey, you can tell how much fun LeBron's having playing with AD the way they're playing defensively. And look, I mean, it's like the dream team with all the coaches. It's like coordinators in the NFL. Little of everything. Their live edition of Game Time here at NBA TV in our studios in Atlanta. Stern, Smitty, Stan Van, the usual crew. We've got a lot to get to, including a couple of of very close, sort of great, not well-played games. If that makes any sense, we'll show you. Not playing well, something the Knicks fans are used to seeing now for 20 years. We'll show you that. You may want to hide from it. As for David Fizdale, he can maybe take a deep breath from it. What looked like inevitable now is a reality, as Fizz was removed as the head coach of the New York Knicks on Friday. It'll be Mike Miller, who had been with the G League, then on their staff, at least interim basis, looks like for the rest of the year. Stan, having been through this scenario, it's never easy no matter who you are. But how rough was this to even watch from the outside, what Fizz had to go through with this team, considering what he was working with?
Yeah, listen, I mean, what was tough to go through was watching what his organization did to him like 3 weeks ago, and just put the blame squarely on him, throw him under the bus, and then ask him to go back into the locker room and try to get players to buy in and everything else. Adversity comes to every team. Losses will come. It's tough to win in this league. But when your own organization is working against you and you're not on the same page, it's an impossible job.
And one of the things when you look at Fizz, you think back to the take that for data. And I, for one, and many of us thought shouldn't have even Smitty left Memphis at the time, what he was doing with them is there's only so much you can do to inspire better play out of guys who are not right fits. How much of this is personnel more than anyone who coaches this team?
Well, first of all, we have about 4 days of training camp, even if you have veterans. And then you take an organization that brought in, it looked like 7 or 8 new guys. Then some of the guys that you had in from last year was hurt. Dennis Smith Jr. had his situation with his family situation. So you don't have any continuity. You don't have a training camp. You're not really that good as a group. And then you start to look at, you get 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the season, and people are huddling up saying Fizz got to go. And it's not the media huddling up. It's not the fans. It's the organization huddling up saying Fizz got to go. And then you go back out and coach, like Stan said, he just never had a chance to get this right with the New York Knicks.
And again, culture, negativity breeds negativity. I don't care if you're into book reading and spirituality or not. I mean, you're throwing guys out of the building for saying bad things. We're throwing coaches under the bus. And now we're throwing tweets. And speaking of kicking people while they're down, our buddy Reg, he was going to had to take advantage of this on social media. Happy for Coach Fizdale, good man who's dealt a terrible hand with the Knicks. Not the only one who should be shown the door. Hashtag Knicks stink. I don't know if it'll catch on, but it's accurate. But he was not alone. Elsewhere, Meta World Peace says, remember we had, was it LeBron said, hey, Dion should go back to primetime. Maybe with Florida State they could use him. Maybe World Peace is what we all need in New York at the Garden. He's from the block, is the way he put it. And Kendrick Perks says, happy for Coach Fizz. Finally, peace of mind. The Knicks need to address the real problem. Steve Mills and Scott Perry. The problem is clearly overarching, but continuity. And we've talked about it all day. Many of us have. It is what every organization, whether it's a sport or not, Smitty, has in common. Everybody understands there's one goal, and here is how we're going to work. Here's the premise. What's it going to take, in your opinion, no matter how long it would take? What is it going to take to get there for the Knicks?
Well, it takes time. I mean, yes, teams get lucky. There's some guys out there, there's once-in-a-lifetime generational players that just change your organization. The Dallas Mavericks, and guess what? I love Luka Doncic. He's that talented. But there was things in place for him to be successful to add on to this. When you don't have things in place, you can even get that one type of generational player, and you still won't get over the hump. You have to create something from ground up, let it start to take some time, and wait for it to start the season.
The irony of that seasoning, they had a guy in place who now is in Doncic's place, Porzingis, who they moved voluntarily. I digress. Knick fans get some good nights.
You sound like you're a Knick fan.
Nope, don't know what you're talking about. I'm unbiased, and my accent was gone a long time ago. Let's look at some pretty pictures around the association. Lakers, man, it's been pretty watching them play basketball all season. For Portland, a lot of different injuries they've dealt with, and Melo has fit in, Coach, pretty well.
Yeah, look, this group had played well together in the last 6 games. Since they have everybody together, they were the number 8 offense in the league.
And it seems like sometimes you're snake bit. Terrible to see this happen to Rodney Hood. Goes down. You could tell it looked like perhaps it could be an Achilles. And per the Twitter of the Trailblazers, the team, the MRI confirms Smitty suffers a torn left Achilles tendon, and it's just tough to watch.
It's just tough. You feel for him, and just give your prayers for a speedy recovery for Rodney Hood.
The Portland team tries to recover. This isn't going to help them on the floor. Turnovers. Anthony Davis turns it into a 3-1. Assuming the bench allows it back in, they would. We go to the second half. Lead was 15 at the break. And then LeBron, coach, says, hi, I'm here too.
Wow, those two guys, they combined for 70 tonight. Overwhelming talent with those two guys.
Smitty, everybody talked about the big three, who was going to be the third. If these